Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And this is it's going to be a quick lesson. Just wanted to highlight some news that I came across. As you can see, this is fairly fresh and recent. And basically today, January 3rd, 3 days into 2024, you basically had this, you had bomb threats, okay, that were, issued, as you can see here, forcing multiple state capitals to evacuate and or lock down. Okay, so let's read a little bit about this. But the point here that I'm highlighting is, once again, going to show you the, just look at this, right? Look at this. This is from, what's this, AP News, right? I think that's Associated Press or so. But if you look at this, the headlines you have Israel-Hamas war, blast in Iran, Japan plane crash, Trump appeals main ruling. Like, you just have these things that are all, you're not hearing of times of peace, all right, which is the point. Okay, you're hearing of a lot more violent threats, chaotic events now than really ever before, and it's only getting more and more. The thing is, people's minds are becoming desensitized to this, to where it's starting to sound like it's just an everyday life. But these events that are going on, the theme of life, especially here in America, but really in the world today, is not normal. Okay, it's not normal. But anyway, it says here, bomb threats lead to brief lockdowns and the evacuation of multiple state capitals. Now, let me actually hold this precept on deck. Matthew 24, I think it's 12. There we go. So it says here, multiple state capitals received bomb threats Wednesday morning, that was this morning, that led to brief evacuations or lockdowns as police investigated, but no evidence of explosives was found. The warnings came after separate false reports of shootings at the home of public officials in recent days. Connecticut, Georgia, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, and Montana were among the states that evacuated state house offices or buildings. Lawmakers in Kentucky and Mississippi have begun meeting in legislative sessions. Because remember, with this year, there's so much at risk, okay, with some states, taking Trump's name off the ballot, some saying they're not down with that. I mean, there's a lot that's going on and people are unhappy. And we're to the point where a lot of people, as prophesied in 2nd Ezra 15, they're going to take matters into their own hands. So you have situations brewing geopolitically. You also have situations brewing internally. Okay. Kentucky governor and Andy Bashir. Now, we're going to come back to that point, right? About them. There was false reports of shootings at the homes of public officials. Now you have these bomb threats and so on and so forth. And it's really just a matter of time before something actually happens. Because that's where this is all headed. Okay, they're going to do something, when exactly, we don't know, but we know something is coming, because what it's ultimately going to lead to is like a complete lockdown. Okay, like a martial law type situation. And at that point, yeah, you can just forget about everything else. Anyway, formerly Twitter that the Capitol was evacuated while state police investigated a threat received by the Secretary of State's office. He said everyone was safe and officials were aware of similar threats made to other offices across the country. The threat was received as Kentucky lawmakers were meeting in the Capitol annex for ethics training. And nowadays it's like every 2 seconds there's some notification about something going on in the world. Okay, like while you're doing a lesson on one topic, another one comes out, then another one comes out. Okay, and as the scripture saying, Habakkuk the 2nd chapter, right? Though it wait for it, though it tarry, wait for it, for it shall surely come, it will not tarry. Public safety officials locked down the Mississippi Capitol Wednesday morning following a bomb threat on the second day of the legislative session. The state Senate delayed its morning meeting after the building was evacuated and bomb-sniffing dogs circled the building before an all-clear was given. There's an ongoing investigation and there is no further threat to the Capitol or surrounding buildings, said Bailey Martin, a spokesperson for the Mississippi Department of Public Safety. So, in any case, I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but like we always say, let's watch and see what happens, okay? Because each day that goes by is a day closer. And at some point, one of these days is going to be that day, okay? That day where shit just changes. Anyway, I want to bring this out. Let's first get the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14. It says here, now, remember that in this chapter, what's written here was a vision that was given to the prophet Ezra. And this was close to 3,000 years ago, right? About 2,500 and somewhat years ago. And he received these visions of the last days that the Lord showed him. And he described it as such. So it's our job in these times, having the understanding of what these scriptures mean, to now tie it and correlate it to what we are seeing in today's day and age. Okay. So when we know, you understand what it is he saw, you can tie it in and say, that makes sense. So this is what he was talking about. Okay. And give the warning to the people. So it says here, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Woe meaning, destruction, bad times, evil. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. So him seeing the things that were going to happen in these last days, he basically said like, damn, it's going to be very bad for the whole world and everybody that's living on this planet at this time. Because the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, which is ultimately going to be culminated in the time known as Jacob's trouble. And one people shall stand up and fight against another. Okay, so you're going to have divisions. You're going to have that tension between different peoples, different groups, be it class wars or race wars or whatever it is. It says, and swords in their hands. Now, in the ancient world, they used actual swords. They used bows and arrows. In the modern world today, the modern day version of the sword is a gun. Okay, just like you saw in the movie Leave the World Behind. I forgot what that dude's name was, but the one that was like super prepared already. When he came outside to meet, was it GH and the other dude, what did he come with? He came with a sword in his hand, i.e. a gun, ready, in case something was to go down. For there shall be sedition among men, and sedition going into like, people basically speaking in a seditious manner, to incite uprisings and insurrections. And invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. So when you're reading about things like shooting reports, be it false or not, the fact that this is even something that is being talked about is dangerous enough, right? Against your so-called political leaders. It goes to show you that the average individual is not regarding them as any form of authority. And eventually, as things get more desperate and more chaotic, it's gonna get completely violent out here, where these politicians and they're not gonna be safe. People are not gonna adhere. Your police force is already being cut down. So who's gonna be out here patrolling the streets, especially when they start to get overrun and things get very bad? Here it is. If you're like one of 5 officers supposed to patrol a whole city, when you're seeing the level of violence going on, you're gonna say, look, if I'm patrolling the city to protect your family, who's gonna protect mine? Forget that. It says, and so their kings and princes. Well, the modern day version will be like your presidents and your governors and mayors and politicians, right? These are the modern day versions of the princes and the kings, okay, which were in those high positions over the people. So it's saying here, they're not going to regard, okay, these individuals. and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So people are going to do what they want to do. That's what Ezra saw. All right, he saw people basically like disregarding whatever, people need to do this. They didn't give a damn. All right, he just saw people doing whatever it is they wanted to do. Some were just taking advantage of the chaotic environment, and some because of desperation. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. And ultimately, this is like a cause and effect, right? What happens when people stop listening to the local authorities and things start to become chaotic? They start to become like warlike in the streets. They start to become martial. And when you have that kind of environment, that's when they take it to the extreme and they declare something like a hard martial law, okay, to bring complete order. And when they do that, that comes with things like lockdowns, okay, checkpoints, curfews, sometimes even the order to shoot on sight, in these kinds of situations. So in these events, as things get bad, people are going to be blocked. Like when you watch in the movie I Am Legend, when the outbreak happened, everybody was trying to flee off of the island off of Manhattan, and they were blocked. They were checking people's temperature before they would let them off or let them out. And some people were not allowed to be able to leave. Okay, and just like that, you're going to see, for whatever reason, you may want to go into a certain city, either to escape the one you're in, maybe your family's over there, you ain't going to be able to do it. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed and men shall be afraid. And when you look at the way these modern day cities are set up, you can tell that all hell is going to break loose. It's like people just stacked on top of each other. There's already violence now as it is. How much more for when society crumbles? And it's not going to be just one thing. It's going to be a domino effect. One leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And you have a full set of just, destruction on your hands. And people are not ready for that. They're not going to know what to do. Especially the ones that are not paying attention. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. So it doesn't matter how much you plead. Yo, bro, we known each other since we were, yada, yada. I've been your neighbor. They don't care. If he got a weapon or he got whatever means he can use to get an upper hand on you, guess what? He's going to use it. Because he might also have a family, or he just might be a demon who was just waiting for this day so he can just go out and cause mayhem. Right? It says, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. You're going to have people banding together. You're going to have people breaking into houses. They're gonna look for them rich neighborhoods. They're going to look for them nice areas, and they're going to come up in there with weapons. Like in the movie The Purge. I think it was the second one. Diego, right? Diego's night. He came up in there with a shotgun, ready to get down. So it says they're gonna spoil their goods. And guess what? This is something that's almost universal in like all of these post-apocalyptic movies. And if you got a group of strangers that break into your house, they see your daughter, they see your wife, guess what? They're coming for them too. They consider them goods. And the scriptures tell you that. You're going to have women getting raped and ravished and all of that. That happens in a time of chaos, especially when you don't have somebody to protect you. So today, society has deceived a lot of people, has put certain women on a pedestal to think that just because they have social media and all of that, they're untouchable. Oh yeah, I got this, that, and the third. They go on these podcasts and they say all manner of crazy, wild things. They have these OnlyFans pages, and people know you. People see you at the grocery store. They know where you live. So when this shit happens and you've already put yourself out there on people's thirst lists, what do you think is going to happen? You've let the whole world know you live by yourself in a certain area. And here it is, your next door neighbor might be one of your subscribers on OnlyFans. What you think is going to happen when he realizes there are not going to be any consequences for him breaking up into your crib? Getting up close and personal. He's tired of subscriptions. Then you're going to see what reality is like. It says here, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. You see? So and tribulation meaning trouble, chaos. Because of that, and the lack of bread, the lack of access to food, people are going to become desperate. And through that desperation, it's going to lead to a very violent and dangerous time. All right. So all in all, that's to say that when you see these things, you know, these like situations like this, these are indicators. Okay. These are indicators to let you know that the world is shifting closer and closer to that time of Jacob's trouble. And it's not going to be pretty, and it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be fun for a lot of people. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bracha, Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.